the first topic on the agenda is Fusaka. Barnabas, do you want to give us updates on fork/BPOs that happened the last week?
Sure. We went through Sepolia hard fork last week, and the first BPO is scheduled for tomorrow in a few hours. BPO 1 will increase the target to 10 and max to 15 blobs on Sepolia as well. And then the next BPO will be a week from now on the 28th of October. And on the same day, later on, we're going to have the hoodie hard fork as well.
And
So far,
were there
everything...
any bugs to discuss from Sepolia's fork?
No, the only issue that we had is a few operators forgot to update their node. But other than that, we didn't discover any bugs.
Okay, perfect. Are there any bugs or issues that client teams are tracking that they want to bring up? Okay, that's good in that case. I know that the Ethereum Foundation blog has a new post, especially for the consumers of blobs regarding what changes when you, for example, you need to compute proofs now before you submit your transactions. There will be another blog post coming out as well that will detail the transaction cap limit. So we have a 16 million transaction cap limit that goes live with Fusaka. And there's a couple of considerations for people who are using transactions. For example, if you have a cold store with pre-signed transactions, you might need to make sure that the upgrade doesn't break anything for you. So we're going to have this released soonish, and yeah, just please keep an eye out for that. And if there's any other UX or RPC related issues that users of blobs have realized were enabled after Fusaka on Sepolia, then please reach out to us and we start tracking and fixing those issues before mainnet. Okay, anything else regarding the fork updates? Are there any client releases that are scheduled for Hoodie? Or are we good to go with the existing releases?
I think we are going to release a new RC maybe tomorrow. Yeah, that's it for us. It has a few bug fixes, and we are also trying to get in the semi-supernode mode for it. But yeah, no promises on the semi-supernode one, but like we needed to get a few bug fixes out.
Okay, perfect. If you want us to deploy the release anywhere before it goes out, then please let us know. Andrew? Yeah.
Yes, so we had an issue with Aragon producing invalid blocks on Hoodie, and that was fixed in our latest release 3.2.1. It was released today, so that is the recommendation for Hoodie.
May I ask why was it only producing invalid blocks in Hoodie and nowhere else?
I think it actually happened when a transaction depended on the beacon route. Maybe on other chains there were no such transactions.
Cool. Could we maybe discuss more details on our shared chat? We'd probably want to have this as a codified test somewhere as well.
Yeah, so we wrote about it on the Steel Discord.
Okay, perfect. Then it should be tracked. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Lucas?
Netmind had a release today, but it's optional for Hoodie and nothing required.
Okay, perfect. We'd probably be doing an update of the blog in that case, but we'll batch both the Lighthouse as well as Aragon and Nethermind issues. And yeah, it seems like there's an optional release of Geth as well. So seems like a round of updates for releases are in order.
Yes. So one thing about that release, our release on the Geth team, it enables the conversion for blobs on send raw transactions. So for those L2s that are still sending the wrong transactions, they can either fix their code, which is preferable, or they can use a version of Geth like with a new release that will convert those.
And will Geth do this by default, or is this a new flag that needs to be enabled?
This will be done by default. And it's also, there's no flag for it. So yes, it puts additional strain on the RPC providers. So that is something that RPC providers may want to look out for in the future, is that they themselves reject non-cell-proofed transactions in the future.
And does this mean Geth would do this indefinitely, or for, let's say, the next 100 epochs or something after the fork?
Probably like the next 1 or 2 releases after the fork.
Okay, thank you. Cool. Okay, Bezu has an optional release as well. And to Mehdi's point, Hoodie should already be at 60 million, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, cool. Then we will also have a new release for Teku. We were hesitating if we had to revert the 60 million gas or not. So yeah.
Nope.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Hoodie's already at 60 million, so we should be
Okay,
good to go.
perfect. So we will have a release pretty soon in the next coming days, probably, with some with some fixes.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other Fusaka topics?
Maybe not Fusaka, but Holsky is going to be shut off by the end of this month, which is basically next week, Friday. I started to see some operators already shutting off their node now. So if you know anyone that is running any infrastructure on Holsky, please let them know to migrate as soon as possible away from it, because I would expect non-finality on Holsky by probably the end of this week, if latest by end of next week.
Yeah, I
And
think there's at least a few providers who are also just like they'll have the infra up until this billing cycle, and then they're gonna not renew their infrastructure. So yeah, please expect Polsky to not necessarily be a controlled shutdown that will happen at a specific epoch, but a gradual degradation.
ideally, I think we should also put out a blog post regarding this to remind everyone.
Yeah, maybe we can work on that this week. Marcin, you had a update for ModExp pricing. Do you want to go? I guess that is semi-related to Fusaka.
Not sure if you're talking to Marcin. I think Marcin is absent. But
okay.
we were doing, Nevermind, we were doing investigation into does Fusaka changes and especially ModExp repricing make any existing transactions fail? Is it problematic for the users? We scanned 100,000 blocks and found some issues with user operations with account abstraction, but upon further investigation, we think that they would just be repriced in the after Fusaka and priced correctly. So no major issues found.
Yeah, Marek?
Yeah, let me chime in a little bit here because our approach is to increase the gas limit for the transaction. And the problem is that you cannot do this with the patterns like you have in account abstraction user operations when you bundled many transactions. And those user operations has their own gas limit. So we cannot trace it correctly. And I think it will be relevant for Carl because I know that he's doing some exploration for gas pricing in general, how to test those things. Yeah, so only issues that we detect are related to these user operations so far with this amount of blocks.
Okay, thank you. Are there any follow-up questions or discussion points? Okay. Last call for Fusaka. Is there anything else to discuss on Fusaka? Okay, cool. Then we'll move on to gas limit and Perfnet updates. I can start with, I guess, Perf DevNet 2. End of last week, there was a bit of forking. There was Carlos from the Nethermind team who was looking into it, and some of the nodes are healthy now. There is still a Nethermind node that's unhealthy. And we've synced up a new node to start allowing us to switch the network ID and make sure that the network doesn't immediately break. But we didn't want to do this while the network was still unhealthy. So I guess once the Nethermind node is fixed fully, then we'll start rolling this out. I also know that there's someone from Aragon who wants to run a few tests on PerfDevNet too. But are there any other state testing updates or gas limit updates that people want to share? Okay, then keep an eye out for some updates on PerfDevNet too. Let's move on to block level access list then. Stefan, do you have an update on that?
So far, we're getting pretty good progress with Bezo and Geth. They're working pretty well. And in my tests, Nethermind seems also very close. So I think we should be very close to a DevNet 0 with Bezo, Geth, and Nethermind. And we're gonna start setting it up this week so far. And otherwise, for like other spec changes like Fossil, it would be nice to know what the status is and EPBS. That would also be nice if the clients have some updates on those.
Yeah, but before we move there, I just wanted to quickly ask Tony or someone from his team if they also have any block level access list related changes we should keep an eye out for before we launch the DevNet.
Nothing really in particular. So we will have a block level access list breakout call on Wednesday, and we will discuss Coinbase handling. So how we will treat the Coinbase address. There are some interesting edge cases around that, but nothing we didn't already have in the specs or in the tests.
So awesome. So even if there's a breaking change, I guess that can belong to DevNet 1 instead of DevNet 0.
Right, yeah. But there, I wouldn't expect a breaking change there.
Okay, perfect. In case anyone wants to help, I think one of the bigger topics right now is how to best visualize the block level access list, especially in Dora, and to make it simpler for debugging. So yeah, we're gonna be shipping some things, and if you don't like it, then tell us what we can improve to make it easier to debug.
So in Dora, we have already something. So there is already a tab in the Explorer in Dora where we can see the entries of the block level access list. Something we still have to do is the metrics. So Katja was introducing that So feel free and look into the Block Club Access List Discord. This is something that is still open.
Yep, perfect. Anything from the EPBS crowd? Do we have anyone to give us an update?
I guess I can start. What was I gonna say? We have an upcoming breakout call this Friday. I just posted the agenda. Please comment if there's anything you'd like to bring up. Last week at ACDC, we did decide to keep the like trustless payments thing as is. So like what the spec currently is. And I guess I don't know much else. Maybe client teams can give an update on their implementations for DevNet 0.
Justin, is there a spec that we can tag in the DevNet spec sheet?
Yeah, the beta 0 spec is for DevNet 0. We do plan on releasing a new beta 1 release probably sometime this week, but we're not going to update the spec version for DevNet 0.
But this spec is pretty much as is, and you don't expect much changes anymore, right?
I can't answer that. I mean, I'm sure the spec is going to change from now between over the next few months. But yeah, I mean, it's in a good spot for DevNet.
Yeah, I think the last update we got was it'll still take a few weeks to get the implementations out. But if any client has something ready and wants us to start testing early, then please reach out. The next topic on the list was RPC updates. I see that Lukash and a few others have been engaging on the JSON RPC API chat on R&D Discord. Do you guys want to give us a summary? What's the biggest topic being discussed right now?
If not, Łukasz, I can.
I can say sorry.
Okay.
Well, nothing that much. So there was some discussion if, for example, should we parse very strictly or more loosely? I'm leaning to more loosely, but Felix was trying to convince me that we should go more strictly. So overall, we adjusted our implementation a lot, and for example, for this, we will be parsing strictly by default, but have a flag to parse loosely if like some client really wanted, some of our users really wanted. And I think we and Bezu and Erigon and Ref increased compatibility a lot with Hive tests, RPC compat, and not only. So I think that's really good progress here. Something is moving. Marek, do you want to add something?
No, you covered it well.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. And also just as a reminder, we have a weekly bot that will post how RPC Compat is doing. And I think there's at least 2 clients with positive improvements this week, and Nethermind with passing 13% more tests than last week. So this is definitely a good direction. So yeah, thank you for that. Anything else for the RPC/RPC compatibility discussion? Okay. The next topic on the agenda was that we're modifying a bit of our comms approach from both the testing teams. So we have the Steel Discord server, and if you're a client dev, you should have gotten an invitation to the server. The Panda Ops team traditionally had a lot of disparaging chats. Like they were all over the place. Some were on Discord, some were on Telegram, some on Mattermost. And instead of having them all over the place, we decided with the testing team that we would have one channel per client team and one channel that both Steel as well as the Panda Ops team would share with you. And this is the channel that we would use for all future communications, for debugging, etc. And if you haven't gotten an invitation, if you're unaware of this, then please let us know. But this should allow us to streamline comms a bit more also between the two testing teams itself, so that we know what's going on and if either one of us has to update tests. Yeah, cool. That was just a brief update on our side. And yeah, I guess we're mostly done with the agenda. Is there any open topic people would like to discuss today? If not, we'd be ending early. Okay, then thank you everyone for coming and see you at the next walk.